everybody. Welcome to Off the Vine. I'm your host, Kaitlyn Bristowe, looking like a pile of shit because, well, my sweatsuit's cute, but I just got my stitches out of my eyeballs. I'm wearing big glasses. My gray hairs are coming in. I'm greasy. I feel gross, but nothing compares to Ali Fedotowsky, a.k.a. Ali Manno, now that she's married, and her experience on Special Forces where I don't even think they showered. They were filming 20 hours of the day, eating the fake cheese sandwiches and pooping in outhouses that I'd never want to wish on my worst enemy. So it's a very interesting conversation. And of course, we talk a little bit about Bachelorette too. This is so funny that we're like getting together for a podcast when we've been talking about getting together just to hang and have a glass of wine. And I'm like, we would make it work. Like, like not make it work, but make it like actual work.
Yeah.
To see each other. Because we're both like that.
We made it.
We're both like that. I wish it was like 7 o'clock at night and we were just having a glass of wine and still with mics in our hands, because I feel like that'd be good. We should do that one time.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, I'm so down for that. This is exciting. Okay, so obviously we'll talk about everything in life, but you are on the upcoming season of Special Forces, which I always said no chance in hell for me.
Really?
Okay. I've watched certain episodes and seen what they go through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have to be one of the toughest people out there, which I think is what they're trying to prove. Like, how tough are you to do it? But like, as soon as they show one person dropping in an ocean, I'm like, and for that reason, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't know why that scares me the most out of
being dropped in the ocean.
Yeah, I don't know why that
we did have
scares
life
me.
jackets on when they done
Sure.
this in the
Well,
ocean.
you better.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. There's just so many crazy things, and we'll get into all of it because I want to know about your living conditions. I want to know how hard it was for you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, like in every way, how challenging that was for you. Now, we're obviously not going to say how far you make it, but how long does filming happen for whoever makes it to the end?
It's a 10-day course.
Okay, 10-day course, which I'm sure with that, what you're doing in those 10 days feels like a 10-year battle.
The days are about 20 hours, 21 hours long. Yeah, I mean, we are sleeping barely at all. I mean, you're truly getting almost no sleep. So I personally felt like the first day alone felt like 3 days to me. Because you're getting truly little to no sleep.
And the second you get there, is it like game on?
The second you get there, it's game on. Like, and this is the thing too, the night even before filming started, no one gets any sleep because everyone's so anxious. Like, I remember talking to other people like Trista and everybody, and they're like, I didn't sleep last night. I didn't sleep last night. Nobody sleeps the night before. So you're going like off of no sleep headed in.
I would be Xanaxing so hard the night before just to like make sure I get like 12 hours of rest before going in. Is that cheating?
No, do that. And somehow maybe like
loophole.
Cut little holes into your sports bras and like hide some in there as well, maybe.
Yeah, truly. Did you get to have a phone during?
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah, I figured no.
No, I am a rule follower, Kaitlyn.
Are
okay.
you?
Yes. I think
I'm a rule breaker.
I was just so excited to have like the opportunity, to be honest with you. Like, I've been out of TV for so long. So like to do a show again was exciting. To challenge myself physically, mentally, like that felt like an honor. Like to be able to put myself in a position to like experience any of what the military went through felt like an honor. So for me, I was just so excited to be there that I didn't want to break any rules. So I show up with like, so they give us like a packing list. And on the packing list, it basically says you can bring like contacts if you have them. You couldn't even bring a toothbrush. Skincare. No, they're like, you can bring sunscreen. On it said sunscreen basically, and it didn't say no. It just said this is it. And so it said don't even bring like a toothbrush or toothpaste. We'll provide that for you.
Oh, okay.
So you're like,
I was like, wait, they're also making you gross while you're there. Okay, so they provided.
But so I get there and I'm like such a rule follower.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even bring shampoo and conditioner. I find out, however, when I get there, I mean, Stephen Baldwin has like CBD cream. Denise Richards has like a Theragun. I'm like, what is happening?
Did they let them keep it?
Yes.
Oh,
some
man.
of them. Like I definitely feel like some people got like maybe a little brought in a few more things than other people did. Whether or not they were just bending the rules or what, I'm not sure.
Right.
But I mean, like Alana, she's a surfer. She had a hair mask. Like I was like, what?
You're like, wait, this is not what the military goes through.
But I had, not that you have any time to even use any of that stuff. Truly, it is
20 hours.
We'll get into it, but however crazy you think the show might be, multiply that by like 100, and maybe that's actually more close to what it's like.
Whoa. And so had you talked to anyone who had been on the show before, and did they mentally prepare you in that way? Like, were they like times it by a billion? for what you think?
Okay. Yes. Like I talked to Nick Viall. I talked to Hannah Brown.
Right.
And I talked to Beverly Mitchell. So they had all been on past seasons.
Yeah.
And they all said it's harder than you think. But like.
Yeah, you don't know. That's like Bachelor, Bachelorette stuff. It's like no one can prepare you for it until you're there. It's certain experiences you can't, you'll never know unless you're in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think also I'm just like, well, I'm super tough. So like I'm gonna be fine. You
well,
know?
that would have been if I ever did that show, that would be me too. I'd be like, no chance. I can't do it. And then I'd get there, I'd go into beast mode and I would just be like, I can do anything.
Yeah.
Like that's what I do. But what were you gonna say?
A lot of it's mental.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So I think that you would do really well on the show. I think it's we're gonna talk about this throughout this. I'm gonna convince you slowly I'm gonna tell you how horrible it is, and then I'm gonna convince you to do it.
I'm like, I don't really feel like breaking bones and like but it is like it probably does put so many things into perspective in a lot of different areas of your life, and to like you said, respect and be honored to know what the people in the military go through. That and that not just 10 days for them.
Right. Oh gosh, no, for sure.
That is wild. Okay, so I always think about lack of sleep. You and I were texting before coming here, and I'm like, you PMSing too? Because same. Do you sleep when you're PMSing?
I sleep fine. I just eat everything in sight.
Samesies.
Yeah.
I absolutely do too. And I think, okay, so my cycle is so weird, but I'm pretty sure it's starting in like 5 days. And that's like, it's like the day 5 before 4, 3, 2, 1 is the worst.
We might be synced up, you and I.
Oh, we are blood sisters. Yeah. That's what I call it. Is that gross? Is that weird? I was doing a solo podcast the other day and I was like, any of my blood sisters out there? We synced up. And then I was like, ew. And then I went, no, not you. We are not period shaming on this podcast. But right before coming here, I was like, okay, I'm going to bring her a bottle of wine. I'm going to print out the prep doc because I don't want to look at my phone. And I go to bring you a bottle of wine, drop it on the ground, go to the...
break?
It actually didn't, which
good.
Spade and Sparrows, tough bottles. They don't break. But I went to go print your document and there's a jam in the printer, slammed my fingers in like I've never screamed that loud. Don't even look at my fingers because they have not been manicured. But I slammed them in the back of the like paper gate and they were stuck in there. I was screaming and had to like fully breathe through it and get myself out of there. And so then I was just like, I hate this. And then I ran out the door without your wine. But that's because I didn't get 8 hours of sleep. So how the hell do you go and do a show like Special Forces on what, 3 hours of sleep every night?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you got to figure out what your why is going in and you just do it. But
okay.
No, I mean, it sucked. Everything, it truly, truly was the hardest experience. I was so ready. I guess let me say this too. I know a lot of people say like you can't prepare physically for the show.
But
I think that's BS. I think you can prepare physically for. Yes, a lot of it's mental.
Yeah, you've been strong.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was then. I'm not so much anymore. I tried to do a pull up last night and I was like, I couldn't do it.
But
like when I was doing the show, I was like
impossible to like. Like my mom was so mad at herself the other day because she's like, I think I put weight back on and I was like, this is called life. You can't always be doing pull ups every day. But go on.
I mean, I was working out 3 times a day. I mean, truly.
Like, I thought you were going to say week, and I was going to be like, good for you. No. 3 times a day?
Like, I would wake up, and like, let's say I'd wake up and do hot yoga, and then I'd go do a 6-mile weighted hike in Percy Warner with my girlfriend, and then I would either do like my tonal workouts at home or my Peloton, or I would do this. I do this thing called Mandu. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's like a thing where they hook your body up to like all these. Remember, like back in the day, the ab thing you put on your abs, and it's like you're gonna sit and watch TV and eat potato chips, and you're gonna get abs. Well, that technology has improved, I guess. And it's a full body thing. They put it over your whole body.
And it really works?
Yes. It like I am so much stronger. You have to go try it. Yeah.
Really? Oh, and so you were how long did you train for?
I knew I was going to be on the show for 2 months before. So I did this for 2 months.
You went balls to the wall.
Balls to the wall. I did a cold plunge in 33-degree water every morning.
Ooh,
and most cold plunges are between like 40 and 45. So 33 is
I have a cold plunge and I try really hard to do 48.
Yes.
And that kills me.
Yeah.
33 for how long?
I would do it between 6 and 10 minutes.
You're insane.
Yeah.
You're insane.
I know. I really, really wanted to like.
So you were torturing yourself before going on the show?
Because I knew we were going to be in Wales, and I knew based on the time of the year that it wasn't going to be the warmest, but I knew it wasn't going to be cold enough that they wouldn't put us in the water.
Wow, you really took it seriously.
Oh.
Which I love because that's what I would do too. But that's like grueling.
Yes.
Were you sane? Like, were you okay?
No.
No. Didn't think so.
No. I would like call my husband like rushing. I hired a boxer like to train me in boxing because I knew we'd fight on the show. Like,
oh my God.
And I would be running in between all these things. I'd like call my husband sobbing because I was just like losing my mind.
Yes.
Like I was like, this is not sustainable. Like I have got, and meanwhile my body transforms, right? Because I go from like a normal person to like a crazy person.
Right.
And everyone online is like, what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
And so like I get then all these like accusations of what am I doing? And I'm just like, I wanted so badly to be able to scream from the rooftops like,
I'm training
for the show. Like, even when I
am a go-getter.
Yeah, exactly. This is work.
Yeah.
But even when I tried to like explain to people, oh, I'm working out a lot right now, guys. This isn't attainable to the average person. I still couldn't further say, but this is also my job right now.
So did they back off once they realized what
now
you were
people
doing?
have, yeah. But for a while, I just sucked because I was like, they're like, what is she doing? What is she injecting? What is she,
Yes, because people, of course, focus so much on what women's bodies and faces and everything look like. And it's like the first thing to jump to, like, oh, she must be losing it, or what's going on in her life, or all these assumptions. Yeah. I'm sure people thought Ozempic, and you're like, that would have been the easy way, bitches.
And that's the last thing I want to do when I'm training for the show. I couldn't get enough food. I was like literally shoveling. I remember opening cans of black beans because I'm vegetarian and I've got to get in my protein.
Oh, you're vegetarian?
Yeah. So I would like open cans of black beans and just be like shoveling black beans into my mouth in between workouts because I was like, I got to get in like the nutrition because I'm now going to go do this next thing.
May I ask why vegetarian?
I'll tell you why. It's actually kind of like ties into the Bachelor world.
Okay.
Sadly, honestly. So I used to host this travel show called First Look. It was like this travel show aired on NBC, like after SNL, like a late night, you're watching TV, wanting to watch food shows. And I did that for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I just was so sick. I was like traveling the country. I was sick because I was eating like 9,000 calorie burgers and bone marrow and pig brain and all the things.
Lord.
All the things. Balut. If you don't know what balut is, look it up. It's a delicacy in other cultures, but it is like fermented duck, like an egg with a baby duck in it. Anyway. Yeah. Exactly.
It's
and so I went to dinner one night. It was actually like a bachelor event in New York. And then me and one of the people, Gia Allemande, I don't know if you ever knew who she was, but she was on my season of The Bachelor. And sadly, she's no longer with us.
Oh, I do know who you're talking about. Yes.
So she and I had dinner that night. All the other Bachelor people went out on the town in New York. And she was just not feeling the best. And I wasn't either. We're like, let's just stay in. We have dinner. I tell her how I'm feeling. She's like, you should try being pescatarian. I've been pescatarian for years. I feel so good, which means like only eating fish and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And so we have this dinner. And then like 10 days later, she dies. It was, tragically, took her own life.
Yes.
And
she seemed like such a beautiful soul.
She was
too.
so sweet and lovely and just amazing.
Yeah.
And we actually butt heads a little bit on The Bachelor, but then came back together after. And I think that even says more just about the type of person she is. She's just like so lovely.
Yeah.
Anyway, after that, I thought like, oh, I'm going to be pescatarian for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like at that dinner we had. And then when that happened, every single time I went to have a bite of meat or think about it, I couldn't because I thought of Gia.
Oh.
And so I know. So I haven't had a single bite of meat since that dinner I had with her like 13 years ago. And I've been vegetarian ever since. Yeah.
Oh, why did that just make my eyes water? That's like a beautiful, sad story of I did not see that conversation going this way.
Wow. I honestly have not really told that story fully. I've kind of like said it like briefly in an Instagram story here and there, but that is the reason to this day. I mean, and through the years, like my husband, he was a full meat eater when I met him, and then we watched some documentaries and he became straight vegan at that point, and then now he's not because we live in the South and it's harder to find stuff. But
the show being Bachelor and Bachelorette has like evolved so much in ways, but I feel like were people talking about mental health during your season? Or do you
not
remember?
Like they are today.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I definitely feel like it wasn't as much of a conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, it always should be.
Right. What do you think about the franchise where it's at right now?
I don't watch anymore.
Yeah,
and honestly, I feel like such a jerk for that, to be honest with you. I mean, just because like whenever I say, oh, I don't watch anymore, like I owe my life.
Busy.
We both owe our lives to this.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
truly, this, at least like the incredible lives that we both have.
Right.
And so like to say like, oh, I don't watch, like I just feel like I'm not like supporting this franchise that did so much for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just don't have it. I always say I did forever because I blogged about it for years. And then when I stopped blogging about it, I was like, I just can't. I know too much. Like I can't do it.
I struggle to watch it, and not because of any other reason, just that I realized how much it brings me back. Like my body reacts when I watch it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like my heart rate goes up. I start thinking, like I start feeling really sad for certain people if they're getting like the villain edit, but then I like feed into it, and then I'm like, what am I doing? I get it's very overwhelming to watch.
Yeah.
Just because I really do think there's some PTSD.
For sure.
Yeah.
Of course there is. I mean.
And that's not a 10-day. That's like, what is it, 11 weeks?
I don't even know.
I don't know either. But
that's, it's like 2.5 months. So yes, 2.5, 3 months. So it's like 11 weeks. You're 100% right.
Wait, I had questions, throwback questions about that because I still want to talk about Special Forces because I'm so intrigued and impressed. But okay, looking back on like your time, you were on Jake's season.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know this until I started doing research because I remember now because I watched.
Yeah.
But did you leave? You chose to leave?
Yes.
Because you were working for Facebook.
Yes.
And you chose to go back to your job?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why? You just weren't feeling it.
No, I was feeling
you were.
I thought that I was like met the man of my dreams. Like I was so young and desperate to be loved and to find love.
How old were you again?
I was 24 years old.
24, yeah.
I was dating a guy at Facebook who treated me like dirt.
Yeah.
His claim to fame put it this way, and I feel bad. Sorry, Jared. But he would like go to bars and drop to girls. I invented the like button like that. And so, and he did. I mean, he was on the team.
He was right.
Or I mean, at least that's what he told me he did. He was on the team like that developed the like button.
He used that as his pickup line?
Oh, yes. Oh, and women loved it. I mean, it was also Silicon Valley and like, everyone
I guess
knew,
so. They're like, he makes money.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, he did not want to be with me, and I was like so crazy about him. So anyway, I don't even know why I'm getting into that. That's why I wanted to go on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, sorry. Going back to Facebook. So yeah. So I went on the show. I was desperate to be loved. Jake wanted a family, wanted to settle down. I was like, oh my gosh, my forever man, you know?
And he's a pilot, right?
And he's a pilot.
But
I had gotten my job at Facebook before The Bachelor started. I was only working there like 7 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I had joined the Facebook soccer team before I worked there to like network to try to get a job there. Like I had tried to get a job there for years before I actually got one. So the fact that I started, then went on The Bachelor, and then I'm on the show, and I told my boss when I left to go do The Bachelor, I was like, I'll be gone 2 weeks because I thought I'd get sent home right away. Like I was like, there's no way. I have nothing to these beauty queens. I meanwhile had like never worn heels in my life. Like I was just like such a tomboy.
Yeah.
And then I go and I stay and I stay and I stay. And I'm like, oh, crap. And then they let me like contact my boss, and they gave me like a week and then another week and then another week. And then finally they're like, girl, if you don't come back to work, there are 5,000 girls your age that want this job. And if you don't want it, we'll find someone else who wants it, essentially, which I get.
Yeah.
They gave me like, I was supposed to be gone 2 weeks, and they gave me 2 months.
Wow.
And so finally they're like, you have to come back. And so I said to him, I'm like, look, you're a pilot. If you really love me and this is real, come find me after this. Come fly up to San Francisco and let's go.
Were you sad when he didn't?
No. No.
Was it one of those situations where because this is how I felt, once I was removed from it, I was like, wait, did I even like him?
100%. Like once I got back and I realized, I was like, oh, this.
Yeah,
this was a fairy tale. This is not real. This was all an illusion. Yeah.
Did you ever watch the show Unreal?
No.
You know what it is.
What?
You don't know what Unreal is?
No.
It's somebody from like a old producer. I don't mean old like age. I mean like she used to work on the show.
On The Bachelor?
Uh-huh. I'll have to look up who it is. She created a spinoff called Unreal where she couldn't say it was about The Bachelor, but it was about behind the scenes of The Bachelor. And it was like this dark, dark version of like the control room and making people do certain things and cry and manipulate. And it came out.
You're like, yep, that's about right.
Oh, it came out like I think a year or maybe when I was on The Bachelor. Mm-hmm. And when I was in like my darkest time as The Bachelorette, just being like, what have I done? I watched it and I was like, I'm not okay. Like it was crazy.
I think I have heard of that. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
But and I feel like, because every season I feel like they get a little more scared of people saying something like like, oh, maybe we can't do that. And people have platforms now and they grow to be these social media influencers. And I think they do worry. But like even in my time in 2015, some shady shit went on there. Mm-hmm. Did you like see behind the curtain at all with your seasons? Like, were you like, ooh, this isn't right? Because I felt like as a contestant on The Bachelor, oblivious. Being the Bachelorette, I was like, okay, yikes. And then hosting a season, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, you have a whole different perspective than anybody. Oblivious as a contestant, same. Just like I was like, ooh, free margaritas.
Yeah,
and hanging out with girlfriends by the pool. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly how I thought of it.
I don't know that I necessarily saw a ton behind the curtain necessarily, but I was so pissed off all the time. Like people are always like, oh, what did you like, Bachelor, Bachelorette? I'm like, I hated being the Bachelorette and I loved being on The Bachelor. Like I loved being a contestant and like hanging out with people. But as the Bachelorette, like I always wanted to send everyone home. I didn't like anybody. Like I was always fighting with my producer.
Yeah.
So I was just like a miserable, angry person.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of the same thing where
what are you seeing behind the scenes?
Oh, like I see. How do I say this without getting in trouble? Like, I mean, it's all like Sims. Like they cast for certain, they'll cast the funny person, the drunk person, the mean girl, and then they push them in that direction, And I've just seen how like the editing, I was like, well, she wasn't talking about that. She was talking about her friend at home, and they'll copy and paste. Like, like I've seen stuff where I'm like, they can truly make anything look like anything.
Yeah.
And anyone look like anyone. Yeah. And I was just like curious about your experience. If you watched back, were you like, that's pretty accurate representation of me?
I think they made me look better than I was.
Great!
To be honest.
That's great. Wait, that's great because I do feel like up until I would say whose season was it? Who did they really just Clayton almost? I feel like they always protected their lead. Like it's kind of their job. And then all of a sudden they saw like, wait, wouldn't it be funny if we didn't?
Yeah.
I don't think they really protected me in certain ways, but they did in other ways. But that's good. Oh, so you're like,
there was some things like I remember we recorded a video and they told us if we did a really good job, Bare Naked Ladies was going to use it as their music video. Like they were there and we were all excited. And so of course, all the scenes were like me in lingerie in bed with the guy, different guys. Like it was like risque, but I'm like, we have to do a really good job because this might be the Bare Naked Ladies music video. So I took it very seriously.
Not the Bare Naked Ladies.
I know. Come on.
Yes.
The best. No. But there was this one scene where all the guys were lined up watching me like roll around in bed with another guy in like lingerie. And then I was uncomfortable. So I looked up at the guys. I'm like, I know they're making you guys stand here, but like, this is so awkward.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys mind going in the room? They're like, totally.
Yeah.
Thank you. But the way it cut was I was rolling in bed with this guy, like kissing, and they all walk out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they were like mad. But that's just not what happens. There were like little things like that, which at the time I thought was like the end of the world. I'm like, they're making me look horrible.
Right.
But I mean, I can laugh about it now.
Well, yes.
Well, speaking of though, I will say editing and stuff in reality TV, I mean, I haven't seen Special Forces air yet, but one thing Nick Viall told me that I really appreciated in Beverly Mitchell, they're like, that's not what Special Forces does. And that's also one of the reasons I wanted to do it. Because I was I don't know that I could do a reality show
where your life and like reputation is in the hands of producers.
Yes, but they're like, they truly, the whole point of the show is for it to be as real as possible.
Yeah.
Like it's not about editing. Like it is like the rawest moments. They say like when you get put in the experience of Special Forces, like when they start and they're like, all right, the producers sort of wave goodbye and they're like, you can't look at us. We won't look at you. We won't smile at you. Like you might never even see us. Like you are in until you're out.
Whoa.
So there's none of that like, oh, I'm talking to a producer on set. You don't talk to anybody except for the DS and the medic.
Wow, you have some grit. What did you learn the most about yourself coming out of that?
I learned, gosh, what did I learn? I learned that I'm not as strong as I think I am.
A little humbling experience. Yeah, okay, fair.
Like some things I was like, yeah, I got this. And then you like try it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Yeah. Like I feel like everybody else would say like, oh, I'm stronger than I think I am. But I think I went in thinking like.
That's honest. I like that.
I am the bionic woman. Like I just was like, maybe not bionic woman, but I am like Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Like I'm going into this and I am just going to like kick some butt and I'm so ready.
And then did you leave feeling like Craigslist, Laura? Like you're like, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I was just like, I mean, I just remember feeling Our season, so every season has like a theme so far, right? The first season was heat. They were in the desert and it was like sand and heat.
Oh, yeah.
And
What was your theme?
the second was cold.
Yes.
So they were in like the freezing cold. Ours was water. And let me tell you how bad that sucks. Like water, imagine being cold and wet and sandy 24/7.
No.
I was pulling sand. I'm not even kidding you. After coming back from the show, I was pulling sand out of my ears a month later. I was like Q-tip being like, more sand.
You need to like go to the gynecologist. Who knows how sand got up there?
I know.
It's just an open hole. What?
But it just because you're in the water all the time. You were wet all the time.
Oh my gosh. Did people get sick?
What do you mean sick?
Like hypothermia?
Yes.
People did get that.
Yes. I mean, it got scary at times for people's health.
Okay, remember those Now CDs that had like all the best hits of the year? I had a lot of those. I had like one of those CD books full of CDs. And not only if you remember those CDs, but also if you had them, then you're a millennial. Samesies. And if you're a millennial, it's time to add Clarins Multi-Active Cream into your daily routine. Clarins Multi-Active Cream is here to tackle those first visible signs of aging and combat the damaging effects of stress-induced aging. We're talking lack of sleep, fatigue, the lightning speed of our millennial lifestyles, all contributing to what we like to call stress aging. It's a real thing. But here's the good news. Clarins Multi-Active Cream is rooted in nature and backed by science. With a legacy of creating industry-first plant-forward products, Clarins is revolutionizing skincare for the modern millennial. And this is an all-in-one cream. It provides 24-hour hydration and a smooth, refined complexion with a healthy-looking glow. So while I may be a millennial at heart, my skin will be looking like I'm a Gen Zer, okay? And that's what I'm talking about. So go to clarins.com/vine and get the multi-active day and night cream for 10% off, a free welcome gift, plus free shipping on your first orders. That's clarins.com/vine with promo code VINE, clarins.com/vine, promo code VINE. So I guess I keep asking in my head, like, why? Why would people do this? And I heard you say earlier, like, I had to think about my why.
Yeah.
What was your why for going on the show?
I think, my why for going on the show was just literally proving to myself that I could do it. Like, I think I'm a mom of two. You know, my daughter's 8, my son's 6. I left LA 4 years ago to move to Nashville. And at the time, you know, I worked in TV up until the day we left LA. I was working on Hallmark Channel. And I said to my agent when I left that show, I said, you know, I'm done with TV. Like, I just want to go to Nashville, have like a quiet life with my family. I kind of have regretted that decision. Ever since we came here. Not moving here, but just I've isolated myself the last 4 years. I work for myself. I'm by myself every day. I never see anybody. I'm lonely. I feel like a mom is like all I am sometimes. Like, I just felt like when my agent told me about the opportunity, she's like, I'm assuming this is a no, because like I told her I'm done. I don't want to do this stuff anymore. And she's like, I'm assuming this is no. And I was like, well, that was me like 4 years ago, but you just called me during like a midlife crisis mode. So, like,
perfect timing, agent. Agents smell those from a mile away. I feel like they're like, I smell a midlife crisis. Let's get her on TV.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened. So I felt like I needed to prove to myself, you know, like I'm not what I felt like I had become over the last 4 years of like disappearing, you know, like I was something.
I kind of understand, like I've just been nonstop and go. And not that I'm like going on all these TV shows and doing but I put myself to the point of burnout all the time. And sometimes I crave moving to like a farm and isolating myself because that sounds so ideal. But then after like however many years of doing it, you're like, wait a second. So I feel like maybe that's a sign to just slow down.
Yes.
So
don't move to the farm. Don't move to the farm.
I'll wait till I'm like 70.
Yes.
But what is it for you now? Like, what would balance look like for you now if you could do more? Like, if you weren't just isolated and feeling like that. Like, did you prove to yourself, one, that you are more than that, because you are?
Yeah.
And two, like, what does it look like now for you?
Yeah, I think I did. And I also, like, want more. Like, I want, like, a lot of people would say they wouldn't do special forces more than once. I would.
You would?
Mm-hmm. And
people say that about Dancing with the Stars, and I'm like, sign me up 8 more times.
Yeah.
Okay, you would.
Yeah, I would do it again. I like want to do like Tough Mudders. I want to do all these things.
It like unlocked some beast mode in you.
It did. Yeah. I hated it and I loved it all at the same time. Like, I just think it's, I keep telling every time I like talk to somebody from the show or a producer, I'm like, you guys need to sell this experience. Like, you need to be able to allow anybody to like pay to go have this experience. Yeah. Because it's so, I think so many people would.
Yeah,
you know,
you do?
to see what they're made of. I would. I'd pay somebody.
I know what I'm made of. I don't need to. I don't need to go there.
Let me tell you one thing that was shocking to me with the show. I have watched both previous seasons.
Yeah.
So I thought I knew what I was getting into in terms of like the living conditions, right?
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay, it's gonna suck. You have like people. You always when you watch a show, you're like, why is everyone going to the bathroom at the same time? You're not allowed to go anywhere without a buddy. So you have to be with a buddy at all times. So when you go to the bathroom, you have to be with a buddy. The bathroom, by the way, okay, it's not just that they're porta potties with like, you know, plywood around them so you have no privacy. That's the least of the problem with the potties. The potties. I'm clearly a parent.
Yeah, I was like, your momness coming out. Potties.
The seat. Imagine a piece of wood with and someone took a, I don't know, almost like a sandpaper not a sandpaper, something like scraped it so it's all splintered wood.
No.
Then covered it in dirt and sand and maybe sprinkled some water on it. That was the seat. That
alone makes me say hell no to the
and
no.
I think they had people using them for like a month before we got there.
Sick.
It was just like it smelled so bad. There was so much waste product in there. The living quarters. So like when I've watched past seasons, I was like, oh, it's not so bad. It's like a room with some cots in it. That looks comfortable enough.
Sure.
Like I could sleep on a cot.
Right.
Like I'm a parent. I don't sleep anyway. Or when my kids were young. Our living conditions, the producers told me this after the show, was piled 2 feet high in manure 2 weeks before we got there.
Why?
So not because it was a literal farm. Like we were like in a barn, like a stone old school Wales pig pen, essentially, that pigs lived in 2 weeks earlier.
What time of the year is this?
It was May, but May in Wales is cold. It's a cold time. It wasn't like freezing, but it was not warm.
Right.
And when you're in the ocean, it's freezing. But so what I would be doing, so imagine, you know, you're trying to get dry because you're soaking wet all the time and you're changing in the floor. It wasn't even like a floor. It was stone with dirt and manure in between all the stones.
Yeah.
And you're trying to like clean off your little tin that you ate out of because it has to go back in your bag with a trickle of water that's literally trickling out. And then you're taking your towel that you have, drying your thing so you can put it back in your rucksack, your Bergen is what they call it.
Yeah.
But then you're using that same towel to dry off your feet that have manure all over them that you just used to wash your eating utensils.
No.
It is, I'm telling you, I can't believe nobody ended up like.
I hope you got a fat paycheck. They better pay you good. What?
Yes. It was like, that was by far the hardest part. Like I remember being in like one of the vehicles. They piled us in the back of these vehicles to go from thing to thing and just like smelling myself. And I was just like manure head to toe. Like everything smelled like manure.
And what are they feeding you?
So when we be in between challenges, it was like a because I'm vegetarian, my sandwich was like 2 pieces of white bread with a piece. I think they thought I was vegan, but a piece of vegan cheese in the middle, and that was it. And
what? This is your fuel to like
the fuel, and it was always, everything was so fast. Like you didn't have time to do anything. Like there's no downtime on the show, which I think is like confusing because any downtime there is that you like see on the show, you have to be doing something, like whether you're packing up your Bergen, making it waterproof, or our jugs of water always had to be filled to the very top. So if you took a sip of water, then you had to go like refill your jug, and you have to have a buddy with you. If you have to go to the bathroom, you have to have a buddy with you. If you want to go to the drying room to like dry your clothes, which the drying room, we would dry our clothes like they wouldn't be dry. You'd ask different people at different times. And if there was an odd amount of people there and everyone was with a buddy somewhere else, like you're kind of the odd man out. And it's just, there's so much like that people don't realize. And when you watch the show, you're like, I could do that. Or like you watch the show and you're like, why is Tyler Cameron puking? You know, like on his season last season, because you don't see them do that much that would warrant vomiting. But you're like, oh, it must be pretty bad if he's vomiting. He's a big dude.
No kidding.
You know,
he's also a puker though.
Oh, is he?
Literally, saw him in the south of France, and he was like, "I just puked," and I was like, "Well, I think he's just a puker."
I've never
not
anybody
justify
to be identified that way, but okay.
You know what? I think he was just hungover. I shouldn't discredit how hard he worked and probably threw up from like everything involved, but I just can't. Like that sounds like my personal hell. Wow.
It's really, 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 really tough. Yeah. I mean, and there's this one thing we did, it's early on, it's called I think Beehive is what they called it, where they threw us into, we thought that the night was done. Like, 'cause, you know, this is actually the first night, actually, now that I think of it. Again, the first day felt like 3 days.
Yeah.
And we think the night's over because it's like almost 11 p.m.
Right.
or 10:30 or something. And so then they take us out. They're like, no, everyone, you know, come out here. I was number 4, you know, I was, I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say.
What?
I was glad I was not number 2, but then I feel bad because Christy Romano was number 2. I didn't want to be number 2.
Number 2 is the worst one to be.
Hey, I just don't want to be number 2.
I would just like be quoting Austin Powers or thinking of taking a deuce.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4.
I was happy not to be number 2. But they take us to the back. There's this pool. Think of an above ground pool, but like 12 feet high, right? Maybe even 15 feet high, black lined. It's pitch black out there. We walk up these steps to a deck up top, and they're like, everybody jump in. So our biggest fear is, this is going to be cold, right? Because it's freezing and it's dark and it's nighttime. We all jump in. We have our full on gear on, okay? Like our boots, everything.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, tread water. And every time someone tried to go to the edge, they would yell like, you can't go to the edge, you can't go to the edge. And you think that's bad enough with boots and everything. And when your boots are wet, when your boots aren't wet, they're heavy. When they're wet, they're like 7 pounds a piece. Like they're heavy. But Q, one of the DSs, is in the middle. And I will have nightmares about this, I feel like, for the rest of my life. He kept having everyone, he's like, get in here to the middle. He made us all go into the middle of the pool, swimming like this. Imagine treading water with huge boots on with all these people around you. Cam Newton, 250, 6'7" next to you, is panicking and pulls you under.
He pulled you under?
I can't even tell you how many people pulled me under. I mean, people
is it because they're panicking?
Yes. So a lot of these people are panicking. There's people next to you that are huge, pulling you under, trying to breathe. Everyone was gasping for air. People were screaming, I'm drowning, I'm drowning, I'm drowning.
I need a Xanax right now.
And I know. Like, I'm not kidding you. There was one car ride where me, Brody Jenner, Alana, and who was the other person? Oh, and Carrie Hart were in the car. And we all started crying, laughing. It was the day after this happened, talking about this because we're like the promos for this of everyone in the water going, I'm drowning. I'm drowning. Like we all started crying. Crying, laughing at that point because of how
dramatic,
scary, and ridiculous, like crazy it was. Like and then imagine you're swimming, and then someone huge guy next to you or person next to you takes their boot and they're swimming, and their boot pushes down on your boot because they're kicking down, and you go under. So you're gasping for air. You're getting pulled under.
And these people are just watching you on the sidelines being like, man, suck it up.
So many people like swam to the edge during that because it got so bad. I'm dang proud of myself. I never left the center of the pool.
Good for you.
And like,
you should be proud of that.
Yeah. It was like me and like, I think like just a few other people didn't leave the center of the pool. Like and one of them was like a pro surfer and like Olympic swimmer.
Yeah,
dang it.
It's me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'm like, I'll find any way to
I
quote
was
Wicked.
very proud of how physically ready I was for the show. Like I'm no swimmer. Like I can't try water for anything.
Yeah.
But there's things like that. Like things where like truly everyone on the show talks about that experience. And I'm like, that's the closest I've ever come to feeling like I was going to die.
Whoa.
Truly. Like I really like, it was so scary.
You know when you like do something crazy like that and then you come out and you like live your life like people who you almost drowned or bad things happen and like, do you feel like this new sense of life coming out of it? You're like, I could do anything.
No, I feel like I'm really...
You're like, I'm done. I proved myself. I'm good. I'm out.
Not that I can do anything. No, if anything, like how I truly, I don't know. I don't know if it's that I was just like too full of myself. I mean, to be honest with you, I like too cocky of how hard I trained or whatever it was. But I really thought like, I've got this.
Wow.
And it made me realize like how I don't got this.
That's also a nice lesson though.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And you know, I'm older. I'm 40. Like, I'm like my body was giving out, my knees were giving, like it was just.
You've also had 2 children.
Yeah, like it's so intense, and I really every cast I feel like says this, like their season was the hardest, but I truly feel like our season was just like.
I bet they make it harder every time.
Probably.
What is your family so proud of you?
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
for sure. Like,
are they excited to watch? Are they gonna watch?
Well, my kids, because I didn't tell them what I was going to do.
Yeah,
they're 8 and 6. And so I told them, I was just going and doing a show. And they're like, okay. And then they saw the promo came out recently. And Molly looks at me in my ear. She's like, you are never doing that again.
I can see her doing that.
You told me you weren't doing anything dangerous. I'm like, I know, honey. I'm like, I trust me. I even though it looks scary, I was safe, but I don't know if I'm gonna let them watch until I see it. Like I have to watch it first because it really was scary. Like,
oh yeah. I've seen episodes of that. It looks scary, like to watch even. Yeah. Do they know that you were the Bachelorette? Do they understand that?
They do now.
Yeah.
Like I took Molly we went to the Taylor Swift concert in Indianapolis, and when we were there, like people kept stopping, and because we don't like in Nashville, we're just in our little communities. Like nobody comes up and asks me for pictures or anything. But there, there's so many people around, and so people kept coming up and like asking for photos. And she's like, she was counting, and then I look over and she's like, 8. 11. Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, that's how many people have come up to you to ask for a picture. She's like, you're famous. I know you are.
Oh,
and I'm like, honey, I'm like, people. So we have this weird conversation. Cause like, I'm not, yes, at one point I was famous, right? Like right after The Bachelorette, on cover of magazines, everything. Now, not so much.
Recognizable.
Yes. And so I'm like, look, some people know who I am because of Instagram, because I worked in TV. So we like have a lot of conversations around like, what that means. And she's like, does that mean I'm famous? And I was like, well, what do you think famous means? And she's like, well, people know who you are if you're famous. And she's like, people know who I am, don't I? Because what ends up happening is that people will see us out in public and they'll recognize her first.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
Like they'll be like,
she's also recognizable.
Yeah. But yeah. And then one time, Riley, I actually posted, this is like my one TikTok that went viral. I don't understand TikTok and I don't know how it works. But I did have one that went viral where my son like went up to Alexa and was like, Alexa, show me a picture of, first he says mommy, and then he's like, show me a picture of Ali. I can't remember if he said something like, and her husband or her love. I don't know what he said, but a picture of me and Roberto from the show. The guy I ended up with showed up. And then I walk up, I'm like, what did you ask Alexa for, buddy? And he's like, I asked her to show me a picture of mommy. Like, who is that?
What did you say? Just like a boy, a past
I was like,
boyfriend.
Yeah. Just, mommy's past. It showed that I did, but.
Where is that guy now?
I heard he recently got married.
Oh, okay.
Like very, very recently, which I'm very happy for him.
Yeah. You guys were together for a hot minute, weren't you?
A year and a half.
Oh, I thought it was longer than that. No. I always think
back then it was a long time. Now it's 100%. Not as long time, but back then it was.
Because Sean and I were together for 3.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I'm always like, damn, that was a long time.
That was a long time.
Yeah. So I couldn't remember, but I thought you were 3 years for some reason.
That was a year
I made
and a
that
half.
up in my head, but.
Yeah. No, but we were very mismatched. But.
Yeah. Well, because you don't know the person until later, but it is what it is.
What do you think about the show allowing the lead to pick the cast?
Is that a thing?
I think it should be.
Oh, I think that'd be a great. Well, so I think they kind of like know what that person wants
and don't give it to them.
No, I think the only reason I'm saying this is because this is one of the reasons I thought, okay, I think I am the Bachelorette and not Brit, because every time I sat down with a guy, I was like, this is exactly what I put on paper of like what I would be interested in. And they all felt like they were my type, except for like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So it felt like they were cast for me. So I'm like, sure but then the leads would get in trouble because then this guy's going to come out with a domestic violence thing that happened 10 years ago. And how dare we not look into their past? And I don't know.
Well, this is the thing. I think that they should have like a group that they've looked into already, right?
Yeah.
And then instead of the casting team narrowing it down to 30, the Bachelor's or the Bachelorette sitting behind a glass and saying, or maybe the Bachelorette picks 15 and the casting people pick 15.
Okay, I like that.
Like who's
I like that.
Picks better,
Because like I said earlier, the casting is there for a reason because they need
those certain roles.
They want
to be
like,
filled.
ooh, Bachelor potential, Bachelorette potential.
Let's say out of everybody that they go through in this casting process, like the lead gets to pick 5.
I like that.
To be on the show, because I just think it would create so much more chances, and I think it would change things up a little bit.
Yeah, they need to change something up.
It's getting tired.
Yeah.
But
we've been saying that for like 10 years, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's even you saying you don't watch Bachelorette. Like, you are a working mom. You're busy. And like 2 hours is a long time to commit to watching a show.
Or I'd just rather read my fairy smut books and be done with it.
What are you reading?
ACOTAR.
Me too.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
What book are you on?
I'm only on book 1, but I'm on chapter 27.
Okay. I just started book 3.
Oh, shoot. What was your favorite so far book? I heard 2's it.
Yeah, 2's great. I thought the beginning of 2 felt slow to me, just like the very beginning.
Okay.
And then it got really, really good. I mean, I love it. I also, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a prude, but like some of the scenes of like the intimate scenes are just so long and dragged on. And
I know.
what I love about ACOTAR is like, I love the story, but I like the sexual tension.
Yes,
like I feel like that is a big part of the story, but I don't need like 10 pages of like the. But in book 1, there's only one scene like that, and it's short.
I think I'm there right now.
Yeah,
I was like, oh shit, I did not see.
Oh, is that why you were late, Kaitlyn?
Oh, I slammed my fingers in the printer. No, I was masturbating to ACOTAR. I'm just kidding. No, I got to this point and I actually was like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be a sexy book.
Yeah.
I thought it was like strictly like just the sci-fi like novel and that everyone was talking about.
No, there's some sexy scenes, which I like. I like the sexual tension. I like that the fairies are so hot. Like I'm like, thinking about like these fairies.
How do you picture the fairies?
I mean, like
what do they look like to you in your brain?
Like a little bit larger than a human.
Yeah.
So just like a little bit bigger with like longer fingers and the pointy ears.
Yeah.
And like wings.
And like
big wings.
And like Brad Pitt, but like on steroids.
Mine is more just, kind of.
Well, who's your celebrity crush? Like who is a celebrity and you're like, they're so hot?
I don't really have one.
Oh, mine's like Paul Rudd.
Oh,
so I picture him like 6'8" with horns. And wings. That's my theory.
I just picture like, I don't know, some like not anybody I know, like but really dark black hair and like purple eyes. Like really.
I always like to know what people think in their heads of, because I have a book club and I always, but it's online like with Off the Vine listeners.
Nice.
And so we always do Zooms and we're like, okay, who would play this person in a movie?
Yeah.
So I like to think of like what the characters look like. But do you think they'll make a movie out of these? I do.
Yes. They will. I think they will, but they need to like have a lot of money behind it because it has to be like Lord of the Rings level production for it to work.
I agree. What's your favorite book of all time?
I do not have a favorite book of all time. I love certain kinds of books. Like right now, well, I guess by the time this airs, but like if you're reading books during the holiday season, Ellen Hildebrandt has a series called Winter Street, which is about like the holidays on Nantucket, and
cool.
It's so good. Like I know it doesn't sound good, like, oh cool, holidays on Nantucket sounds
I love
riveting,
any holiday book.
but it's so good. Like my
Really?
sister just read it. She's like, this is the best. I'm gonna gift this to everyone during the holiday season. So that's a really good one. Blake Crouch, I'm going to say his last name wrong, which is bad because I'm such a geek that I literally like have bought signed books of his online.
Oh, cute.
Like I read like at Qatar, I started a week and a half ago and I'm on book 3. Like I literally read a book in like 2 days.
I started it 3 months ago and I'm on chapter 27 on the first book.
Oh no, I read like, but that's the thing. You are out there hustling, getting stuff done. I'm like,
no,
I should be doing 500 other things right now and working, but like I'm in like I have no motivation for anything in my life phase of my life right now.
I'm kind of there right now too.
Like I want to wear sweatshirts and like when we were texting before this, I'm like, Kaitlyn, I'm in my robe on the couch eating chocolate.
I was like, wear the robe. I crave so badly to have nothing going on and to like have a week of downtime. And then I get that and I go, I'm a lazy piece of shit. Why am I not doing anything?
Yeah.
And then I have severe ADHD where I am doing the 500 other things when I really want to be reading the book, but I'm like, I'll get in 5 pages and then I'm like, well, what am I going to do for dinner? And then what's happening on Instagram? Yeah. And then I'll go on a cleaning spree and organize all my chargers. Mm-hmm. Like,
great.
And then I'm like, wait, what happened to reading the book? Like, I will find everything else to do. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Well, you'll get. No,
what do you do for your mental health, like to recharge your batteries? Like, what do you do to feel like, for example, PMSing, I get very dark. I really need to take care of myself in those times. I book extra therapy. I take off work. I like buy all these bath bombs and I read and stay home basically. Yeah. What helps you recharge?
See, for me, it's the opposite of you. Like I feel like I need to recharge and travel. Like
really?
Your life is traveling. So to you, travel's work, and it's this. Like for me, I need to go somewhere.
Yeah.
To fill my cup.
Okay.
Like I, recently I went to LA to do press for Special Forces.
Yeah.
That was refilling my cup. I think also part of it is like getting away from like my kids.
Well, because when, like you said, you start to feel like your identity is a mom. So when you get to go and do things for you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah, that's recharging.
That's for me. That's what cool. I do for me. I have to like get out every once in a while, go be with my friends.
Yeah.
But then also, I mean, just what we've been talking about, reading.
Yeah.
I love to read. Like to me, reading is escaping. Like I feel like I go off. But this is the problem. I sit and I'll read. I'll pick up a book and I'll read for 3 hours. Yeah. And then I'll look at the clock and go, I am such a piece of crap. I should have been doing all this other stuff. And then I feel bad.
But you're reading. It's not like you're scrolling and not
right. But I mean, I probably pick up and scroll in between.
Yeah.
But like
we all do.
But then I just like feel bad about myself that I took all this time to do this. But this is what I will say. Reading as much as I read, forever, some people, when I share books because I read so quickly and so often, people are like, how do you have time to read? Like, aren't you ever with your kids or do anything? And I'm like, well,
they're also at a different age now too.
They're at a different age. And both of my kids are obsessed with reading because of my obsession with reading.
Cute.
So now like both of my kids are reading Harry Potter right now. We literally sit on the couch and all three of us will sit there with the book and hold it. And
that's really cute.
That's not something that they necessarily, or they might not necessarily pick up on their own. Like it's modeling, right?
Yeah.
Your kids want to do what they see you do.
Yeah.
So
my kids will be drinking bottles of wine at like 3 in the afternoon. Like monkey see, monkey do. I'm like, whoops, sorry. I love seeing your kids on social media because Molly is so funny.
She's very funny.
She is like out of a movie funny. Like she seems like a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is. Like ever since she was 3, people would be like, why are you leaving LA? Like when we left Los Angeles, you're like,
have you seen the documentaries of childhood actors?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're out. Okay, raise your hand if you're multitasking right now. You're maybe driving, cleaning, getting a quick workout, grocery shopping. I'm literally petting my dogs while talking to you. I see you, I hear you, I feel you. You're getting it all done. But hey, if you're not in some sort of moving vehicle cruising down the road, there's something else you could be doing that's super productive, and that is getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's as easy as pulling out your phone, and you might just save yourself some pretty serious cash. So here's the dealio. Drivers who switch to Progressive save on average nearly $750. And if you're anything like me, you live a good deal. Plus, you can stack up those discounts for things like having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner. It's like the gift that just keeps on giving. So like your go-to podcast off the vine, Progressive has your back 24/7, 365 days a year. So no matter what, you are covered. And that's peace of mind. So why not multitask a little more and get your car insurance quote at Progressive.com and join the over 28 million drivers who already trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $744 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2022 and May 2023. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations. Okay, I do want to go back to Special Forces because I want a little tease. Like, what can we... So this season is about water. What can we expect to see throughout... Mostly episode 1, because that's what we're looking forward to the most. Mm-hmm. And, like, throughout the season. Like, did you butt heads with anybody? Did other people fight? Like, what was, like, the craziest thing that happened?
I feel like there wasn't, like, a ton of head butting.
Because you kind of come together, probably.
I will tease this. And after I say it,
yeah, we've got Fox on the phone.
The powers to be can say whether or not this is allowed to be said.
Yeah.
Multiple, like, major injuries happened on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, like broken bones type deal, like
and
going home in back braces, like some serious things. Yeah. It's funny. Nick Viall said this. He said, and actually I feel like Beverly Mitchell said the same thing, said, I was scared, but I never felt unsafe.
Right. Like, because they're not going to let, you die.
Yeah. I felt pretty unsafe sometimes.
Really?
Only in the beehive thing, honestly, really. That thing, I really thought I was going to, like, I really thought someone could easily have drowned.
Holy
There was
shit.
someone, like, scuba diving at our feet, like, when we went under. But the thing is, there were so many of us at that point. There was still the whole cast. There was still 16 of us. And, like... you could, like, easily, I'm like, someone could be under, and it was pitch black. It was a black lined pool, like, in the middle of the night with no, like, it was, I truly feel like someone could have seriously,
okay,
like, I would see someone yell, I'm drowning, and then go under. Like, it was.
That alone gets me, I'm like, I'm tuning in. That's a good tease right there.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then what our first challenge was awesome. Like, our first challenge, I recommend doing.
What was
anybody.
it? Or can you say?
Yes, I can say.
Okay.
Well, let me say this, too. One thing that people don't realize, at least for our season, is that there's so much before the first challenge even started, right? So we're thrown into the ocean. We're like a half mile from shore. You have to swim through the ocean to shore, fully clothed. Okay, so I'm like, my jeans, I was wearing these exact jeans, actually. They were like around my hips, even though they're high-waisted jeans, because the water dragged them down. And then you're getting out of the water. They're making you drop to your knees, do push-ups, do planks. So they make you get out of all your civilian clothes to start. And you're all soaking wet, and I'm in my bra and underwear. They have you wear sports bra and underwear. Standing next to Stephen Baldwin's next to me over here. Jordan Weaver, the gymnast, is over here next to me. And I look over at Stephen Baldwin. This is going to be my story if I ever do like 2 truths and a lie.
Yeah,
This is going to be one of my truths because it's so effing bizarre. I look over and Stephen Baldwin's in a wetsuit. First of all, I'm like, how'd you wear a wetsuit? Who allowed this?
Yeah.
But they're saying to you, they're like, recruits, help your fellow recruits. And I'm standing there in my bra and underwear. I look over, he's in his wetsuits. So then I turn to him and I start ripping off his wetsuit. So I'm like, my truth is that at one point I was ripping a wetsuit in my bra and underwear, ripping a wetsuit off Stephen Baldwin in the middle of Wales. That's my
a good
truth.
one.
That's my truth right there. And then they make us run up this huge hill where like people like Stephen Baldwin was like getting his inhaler out. Tristan, people like couldn't make it. Then we were in a 2-hour car ride to our first challenge. So there was so much that happened before our first challenge even started. Which
in a 2-hour car ride, are you napping?
No, because you don't know it's 2 hours. That's another thing. They would put us in the back of the car and we didn't know if we had 5 minutes or 5 hours.
No.
Like you don't know. And then not knowing, that was honestly one of the hardest parts for me too, of just like totally like, I get car sick too. So I was just like, just
the unknown.
The unknown. And then so when we get to this place, we have to run like a mile out to this thing with these super heavy Bergens on. And then we see this helicopter come down over our heads and a speedboat come out and you see one of the DS out there. You're on the boat, holding onto the boat.
Is a DS a drill sergeant?
Direct staff, it stands for.
Damn,
but
I thought it was
drill sergeant. Probably. I mean, that's probably a better term.
Yeah,
they're not nice to you while you're there.
Yeah.
But you're standing in the boat, and this is where I felt like Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember doing it. You're on it, and then you jump from the boat to the bottom of the helicopter, wrap your arms around it, try to pull your legs up, and get yourself into the helicopter.
What? That's badass.
Like it was so badass, and it felt so like everybody was like, "This is so cool."
That is cool.
But yeah, I had some issues on the show too, where I kept like having misfortunes with gloves.
Oh.
Like that first challenge with the speedboat, they gave me 2 left-hand gloves. So when I'm trying to grab up to the helicopter, one of my gloves had leather. The grip was on one side, but then the other side, because it was another left-hand glove, had leather. So I was like slipping. I had a lot of issues with gloves on the show. Let me just say that.
Interesting.
And I'm not happy about it.
Okay. Okay.
They screwed me with the gloves. Let's just
no.
say
Do you think that was on purpose?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it was on purpose.
Okay.
But because of my multiple glove issues, it made things very challenging for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want you to do it again.
We'll see.
Maybe they'll do an all-star season.
If they do an all-star season of any sorts, like whatever they call it, I will be the first one to sign up.
I mean, I feel that energy from you.
Yeah. I want to do it again. Like
I'm
my
fired
body's
up
craving it.
for you.
Yeah.
Not for me to do it, but I'm fired up for you.
You should, if they ever ask you, you should do it. It's scary and it's terrifying. And
I want to do Traders.
Okay.
That seems a little more.
I don't know anything about that show.
They still have challenges, but I just don't know.
Isn't that like manipulation? See, that'd be harder for me.
But I don't want to be a manipulator. I want to be one of the other people who tries to find out who the manipulative one is.
Okay.
But I don't know. I bow down to people who do special forces, and I think it's a great show too. Like people really enjoy watching it. It's a great show.
It's so good.
I was thinking about it too because I said, did people butt heads? But more, you're probably bonding. Like, what was it like to bond with just like a diverse group of celebrities?
I remember being nervous going just because I worked in LA for so long. I worked on E! News for years. I dealt with so many jerks and just like divas. And I was just like, all right, great. I'm going to like go deal with all these egos. And like, I was like nervous about that part of it. But like everyone was so cool. And like, honestly,
nice.
some of my favorite moments would be sitting in the little back of the cars that we had, little, I don't know what they are, trucks, and just like chatting, like whether it was Carrie Hart talking about his wife is pink, like being on tour with, he'd be like,
Carrie Hart.
Yeah, he's like a BMXer.
Yeah, of course I know who that is.
Yeah, he's so cool.
Oh, I love him and Pink.
Yeah.
Like because I watch
cool marriage.
so many documentaries on her because I'm obsessed. And I love how he shows up in that family.
Yeah.
Cool.
He like told the story of like when she proposed to him and like, just having those conversations like in the back of the trucks in between things. Like That to me was the coolest.
That's cool.
And like people just being generous. Like Stephen Baldwin like gave me, I was in so much pain. I have bad knees and like one of my knees was inflamed and he gave me like his CBD cream like to help. You know, like everyone was just like helpful and cool. And
you're like, am I following the rules? I know the CBD cream.
Someone gave me a little bit of conditioner.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. You must have felt so good to get home, sleep in your own bed, shower, like smell not like manure.
Yes,
the
shower was very, very, very nice.
I can't even not even just number 2. I can't go to the bathroom in like airports even when they're clean. I have like gag reflexes to bathrooms. You tell me you
wouldn't go the whole time you were there. Then you would hold it the entire time.
Yeah, I would.
Horrible.
I would rather just go pop a squat around a corner in a bush.
Oh, I can't even tell you how many
people did that?
Nuts and berries and butts I saw. Like people are just dropping
those
trout
nuts and berries
everywhere.
Yeah,
those nuts and berries. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you see everything. Like it's like, yes, everything. Because everyone. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I like would be changing in the room and like my underwear might fall down a little bit. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm just trying to get dressed and get to the next. Like you see. I mean.
See some shit.
Some famous booty, guys.
Whoa. Some famous dong. Oh my gosh. Who did you like get along with the most there?
Well, I had Trista, so obviously, like we took care of each other. I really got along with Landon Donovan. Like,
who's that?
He's a soccer player.
Okay,
professional soccer player. I feel like I had like some good conversations with him. I mean, I got along with. There's nobody I didn't get along with.
Yeah,
I will say, like, I my bunk. Denise Richards number 3 and Stephen Baldwin's number 5, and you're like in your bunks based on your number. So my bunk was in between the two of them. So like I feel like I bonded with them because they're like right next to me.
Yeah.
And Denise, I mean, you would love her.
Really?
She is a hoot. Like she is exactly who she is.
Oh,
like
I should have her on the pod.
You should 100% have her on the podcast. She would love it.
Oh, that's cool.
She would love to come on. You would just she just like tells it like it is. Like, you know, after the show, we like got together and she's just like, all right, let's talk about this shit. And she's just like going off about everything. And
I always wonder how like celebrities who have really been in the Hollywood scene and like, you know, married to people like Charlie Sheen or like, she wonder.
Has no ego.
I wonder how they stay humble and grounded and like what it is that they do for themselves to stay that way. Or if it's just in your blood or not. I don't know.
I think it's a little of both, right? Yeah. Like I think it's in your blood a little bit, but I also think you have to have people around you to keep you grounded. You know, the way I always describe celebrity when I'm talking to like my friends that like maybe don't understand it as much, like people who are really, really famous. I'm like, imagine you're Justin Bieber, right? Yeah. Imagine you're Justin Bieber and every day you're like, people, you know, you're talking and you're like, oh, the sky's purple. And everybody's like, yes, it's purple. And everyone's agreeing with you that it's purple. Eventually, like you truly believe the sky's purple because everyone's like, yes, it is.
Yes, people around you at all times.
So you don't know the difference between right and wrong because everyone's telling you a certain thing, right? And so that's just like, I feel like if you don't have people around you to be like, no, you dummy, the sky's blue. Like, what are you looking at? You know what? If you don't have that, what better do you know?
That's so true. God, that's sad.
I know. But Denise, I mean, she like wanted to hang, like, and not everybody's like that.
Yeah.
Like some people are too cool and they're like, you know.
I love meeting people who surprise you in that world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because you've been in TV for a long time now. Yeah. Like you got into it after Bachelorette. Who's the craziest celebrity you've ever met or talked to?
The crazy like
biggest or most memorable, I guess.
Most memorable. I mean, I guess I would go with Tom Hanks.
Oh, good one.
Only because he was so kind and so nice and just like. I remember being like, will you adopt me? And like, you know, and it's like, that's why you have longevity in this business because you are like this.
And his wife's the same way.
Yeah.
I've never met him. I've met her and she is just a class act of a woman.
Yeah. That makes sense that they've been together so long. Yeah.
Right?
He is just like so cool. But I mean, without getting into names, like, I mean, I just have dealt with so many jerks.
I bet.
People making me cry. People just like not looking at you when they speak to you. People making you wait for 4 hours on a red carpet, and then you come out and the publicist is like, one question, and like, you know, just stuff like that.
Did you ever meet Ellen DeGeneres?
Yes.
Was she nice or no?
She made me feel pretty not great.
I hate that. I've heard that so many times.
Yeah. It's not that she was mean per se. She just made me feel stupid.
She does that.
I remember that when I was on her show. Like, I was so excited to be on the show. And I don't think she's a bad person. I just think that sometimes I bet when you do a job like that all day, every single day for years, you're just kind of over it, right? And then here, in one, she's talking to people who are like crafted. Here I am, this like 24-year-old, like famous for no reason, comes on her show and she's like, I gotta talk to one of these idiots again, you know? And I was like, I went out on the show, I was dancing and everyone comes out dancing. And I'm like, hi. And I was like trying to be funny and like personable. And she, instead of like laughing with me, she was laughing at me.
Oh, I hate it.
Do you know what I mean? So I felt really stupid.
I think the world protected me from ever going on her show because they say don't meet your heroes, and she was mine all the time. But I think it would have been really disappointing for me.
Yeah.
And now I just dislike her because of everything I've heard from like very, very reliable sources.
Yeah.
And so, and again, I'm the same way where I'm like, I get it if you've been doing the same thing and you're over it, and like, you know, whatever. I don't get treating people like shit, but I get being over it.
Yeah.
But I always said if I went on The Bachelor for one reason, it was so I could meet Ellen DeGeneres. Like, I was obsessed. I had a container that was a pickle jar that was like a Tupperware where you pull it up and it strains the juice and then you grab the pickle and it's called a Piccadilly. And I remember her from like a comedy skit from back in the day talking about how annoying it is to like get your hand in the pickle jar. And I was like, and I saved this Piccadilly for so long because I was like, I'll go on Ellen one day. And I never did. And now I'm like, I think we were protecting me from meeting my hero because I would have been really disappointed.
What did you do with the Piccadilly?
Still got it. I still got it somewhere.
Good, you hold on to that Piccadilly.
I'm going to.
You keep those hands dry for that pickle juice.
Yeah, I'll use it for myself. I like still have it in a box. Like I'm still gonna see her. Get over it, Kaitlyn. Okay, last thing I do on the pod is I always make somebody confess something embarrassing to me. So,
oh gosh,
it can be anything. Like just something where you're like, I can't believe I'm telling this story. It's mortifying. I embarrass myself so bad. Whether it's like you and Baldwin had to go poop together. Like what? I don't know. Some doesn't have to be from the show. It could be like you were 10 years old and this happened to you and you'll never forget it.
This is way too hard. I don't feel like
Let me try and inspire you. I'm trying to think
I feel like I'm just so over the years too, and like I don't know. I'm sure it's annoying when parents are always like, because I'm a parent, but I feel like as a parent, like I've said it all.
Yeah.
I've seen it all. I've talked about poop. I've talked about like childbirth. I've talked about like I don't even like know. I mean, like when you say something like that, I'm like embarrassing. I'm like, oh, when I was in 3rd grade and I had to like read out loud on the chalkboard and I said words wrong. Like that's what comes to mind for me. I'm dyslexic. So like putting me which is funny because I ended up working in TV and like reading teleprompters.
Yeah, reading a teleprompter. That must be so hard.
But it's something that I've like gotten better at and learned. But like because of my dyslexia, I guess this is my maybe embarrassing or whatever. Because of my dyslexia, when I worked for E! News, I instead of like reading things cold, I would like go in my room and like go through everything and like make sure I knew how to say all the words beforehand. Because I was like so worried that my dyslexia would. That's a sad story, I guess. It's not maybe not what you.
It's like one of those like
poor little dyslexic girl upstairs in her office, worried about messing up in front of Juliana.
I would read the teleprompter when I was doing hosting for Bachelorette, but when you like go in and talk to the guys or whatever, I'd have Bennett in my ear feeding me lines just like word for word. He'd be like, all right, guys, so I'd be like, all right, guys, so, and as he was saying it, I would just say it out loud and then just walk out and I'd be like, I don't even know what I just said in there. I was like, I don't know, just put me in,
coach.
When
you're talking to somebody and somebody's talking in your ear, that is so hard. Like you can't pay attention to what's happening.
I think my ADHD brain loves it.
Oh.
Like I was like, I could process and say it out loud at the same time. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
like, yeah,
great.
It worked for me. Also, thank you for coming on the podcast and talking about this.
Me.
I can't wait. So January 8th
on Fox. It will stream on Hulu after. I'm not sure how long after, but yeah, January 8th
Fox
on Fox
is where to watch it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's worth watching. I mean, you're going to see them just torture us. And if that makes you happy, tune in.
Well, what's funny is I do think people love seeing reality TV people be tortured.
Oh, anybody that's in the public eye.
Yeah.
You get to see us in such a different way. Like, I'm not even kidding you. When I saw Stephen Baldwin at the press thing, he's like, oh my gosh, you look different.
No, he didn't.
He like did this video for my husband. He's like, I just want to tell your husband, you look smoking. And it's like, but it's so funny because you see everybody just like no makeup, nothing.
Yeah.
Just look like drowned rats the entire time.
Did you know who was being cast before you went on, or did you just see once you got there?
I have pictures on my phone. So they put us in a hotel, right?
Yeah.
And they did not want us to know who was on the show. I'm like, come on, we're here. We're at the hotel. We're about to start tomorrow. Right. Why does it matter? I'm not going to like call these people or whatever.
They're like, we brought all of your exes.
Yeah. I know, right? And so I'm out the window and my hotel room is at a place where I can see the cars pulling up, because this is when we got to Wales. Like first we were in Richmond, like where Ted Lasso was filmed.
Yeah,
and then Wales was like a 4.5 hour drive. So at that hotel, it's like in the middle of nowhere, and I'm taking pictures on my phone of people getting out of the car, and I can't. It's so far away, and like people have sunglasses on, I can't tell who it is. So I'm sending the pictures to my husband, and he's sleuthing and trying to like figure out who it could possibly be. But the only people I knew who were on it, and I didn't find out until I was in at least Richmond, in like the London area.
Yeah,
I knew Trista.
Yeah,
and we started messaging at that point. I knew Christy Romano because she posted a video saying, I'm about to go do something. And it was in the same hotel room I was in. I was like,
you're like,
okay,
got it.
I know you are. I like DM'd her right away. I was like, hey, girl. And then Brody Jenner, because people figured out I was going to be on the show based on like my training. I think people were just like, she's clearly doing something physical. And then people thought Brody Jenner was going to show. So I knew he was, but that was it. Those are the only people I knew.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you on a future season.
Nope. Nope, you won't. You won't. But if you do it again, you can do it for me. I want an all-star season. I'm calling it now. And I can't wait to watch. I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. I'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next